All right, hello and welcome to the Rook community meeting for June 15th, 2021. Let me share my screen and we'll get started. We're missing a couple of folks, Jared and Seb, that are out traveling or otherwise gone, but this may be a quick meeting. All righty. First to do a little milestone checkup. So for the 1.5 release, so we just did a 1.5.12, I think it was last week. That was the last, that's the last one, last release planning on for 1.5. Other things could come up. We may plan one in the future, but I think we're at a good stable point for 1.5 and focusing on 1.6. I should confirm that there's nothing in the 1.5 board that's pending. Yeah, okay, so the 1.5 board is blank. So I think we're okay there. And then for 1.6, we just had the 1.6.5 last Thursday. And then we will plan on the 1.6.6 release on the biweekly cadence, which would put it at a week from Thursday on the 24th. And so here is the 1.6 board. I think there's nothing really urgent here. It's just the typical things that are in progress, small features or fixes. Yeah, one thing just to mention, I was talking to Santosh about this morning is this hybrid storage pools, which I think will be a nice feature on the pools, where we'll be able to have basically a two-step crush rule that lets you say, hey, I want one replica on SSDs and the next replica on HDDs. I'll give you some fast reads, even if the writes are as slow as the HDDs. Some other changes in progress I think worth mentioning is with 1.21, there are some APIs that are deprecated. So I think the cron job and PDBs for V1 beta 1 were deprecated and moving to V1. So that'll be good to get cleaned up and into the next patch release. Right now it's just the annoyance of warnings in the operator log. But eventually I think in 1.22, Kubernetes is going to remove some of those. So it'll be nice to have those fixed. All right, so 1.6.6 plan next week. Any questions around 1.6 anybody wants to bring up, or anything that needs to be backported? All right. We'll call it at that then for 1.6. For 1.7 now, our next minor release, we have we talked about the mid to end July as being the target for releasing 1.7. I was just looking at the calendar today, trying to figure out, I think it'd be good to create the branch and the beta release around July 21st. That's a Wednesday. And then about a week later, on the 28th, shoot for the 1.7.0 release. That's not set in stone. It could slip. Won't be any earlier unless we plan for earlier. But I think that's a good goal in my mind. Does anybody have feedback on that date or input? Okay. We have an agreeable group today since Jared's out, I guess. Jared's always that one who questions us. All right. On the list for community topics today, I've added a couple of things. So last week we merged, or was it a couple weeks ago already? We had the Ceph cluster Helm chart. Now, since it's just a brand new thing, we want to make sure it has some time to stabilize before we call it ready for production. So what we decided on after the last meeting is, okay, let's still just build the chart in master, and it's only available through the master channel. But we put something in the 1.6 docs that has instructions on how to go install it while it's experimental. The idea being there that hopefully we can get some feedback on if we need to take a different approach, if we just need bug fixes, or if it's already stable. Great, that in 1.7 we'll be ready to go and just take that experimental tag off it. So just to show, I guess, this doc here, I mean, just looks like the other Helm chart documentation page, but we have the Ceph operator as before, and then Ceph cluster next to it as a separate chart now. Yep. But I hope people can try it out and let us know. Any comments on the Helm chart?
A quick question, Travis, on the experimental chart. Is there an upgrade path if we've already manually installed, you know, the Ceph cluster previously?
With that master channel? Oh, if you've got, I believe, let's see, that's a good question. We should verify or test that, but I would think the cluster could just take over the chart if it's got the same CR name and namespace. I would think it could take it over. But yeah, that's a good question to follow up on. I'll put that in the action items. Confirm if cluster CR can be taken over by the Helm chart. Okay. Any other questions on that or comments? Sounds good. The next item I've got is an update on the CI improvements. So we're really close to being able to decommission Jenkins and just do everything with GitHub Actions. So I think there's really two more things left. So there's this tag Jenkins pipeline that we've been using, which creates the release branch and then pushes tags. And I wanted to have a discussion with Seb when he gets back next week about what's the right way to do that with GitHub Actions, because I'm not clear on how we could trigger that. So, Shabam, do you know how we could trigger an action without a push action or without a PR? It's just like, go trigger this random GitHub action, right?
Actually, I have not started looking to this. Maybe once I start, like, I might have something. But
Right.
I think we can start with like we can trigger the action with the tags also. So if not, it is not push or pull, then it is it can be tag also. But there are some other things which by which we can trigger the events. I will have to just see what are those.
Right. Yeah. So maybe we just have to push a tag and then the action will be triggered from there to go create the release branch, for example. So yeah, we'll follow up on that. I just want to make sure it remains independent from whatever local development environment so that we don't accidentally do something wrong or pick up some local tag instead of having an official tag.
We could presumably just like make sure the tag is in a particular format or on a branch that is like release dash something, right? Like we can have some validation on it.
Right. So it's a validation. Hopefully we can just make sure, even if we do have to push it, like with a script running on your local branch.
I see. It looks like we can also run actions manually if that's better.
Yeah, I think that's what I was hoping for actually. If we can just go
Okay.
trigger. it
Yeah, there's like
manually.
a chat thing. There's like
Okay.
a doc section on that.
Cool. To run manually. Okay. Yeah. So Shubham, maybe you could look at that.
I was just looking to that only. Very thanks, Ben.
Sounds good. Okay, and then the other one we've already talked about before. It's just we need to enable the action for releasing and publishing the build on the release branch. It's already working fine in master. So I think we just, Shubham, all we would have to do is backport that or have it in the release branch for it to work, right? Or is anything else needed for that?
For the master builds.
So it is working in master. I guess I'm asking for the release branch if we want to do official releases based on it. Is there anything else we would need to do to get it to trigger on release branch pushes and tag pushes? I think that's the thing.
So we don't have currently any action for the release and the tags, so we will have to create those. I will start working on those, but for currently only master builds are enabled using GitHub Action.
Right. I'm thinking it might be good to get that working on the release build in a 1.6 patch release before we do 1.7, just so we can make sure in 1.7 we're really ready for the to go without Jenkins. So yeah, maybe early July we could think about that.
Yeah, I will start looking to that from like next week.
Mhm.
Yeah, next week
Yeah.
or like from Thursday.
Yeah. Okay, sounds good. Are there any other topics around the CI improvements that anybody wanted to bring up before we move on? Okay. Yeah, it's just exciting progress. So we're so close to decommissioning Jenkins. Much less overhead for maintenance. All right, and actually that comes to the end of the agenda for topics that have been added. Are there other topics that people want to bring up? Yeah. Yeah, Jeff, thanks for joining. Robert, anything? Welcome. Join just in time to call it a meeting. All right, with that then, I don't hear any final topics. So thanks everyone for joining and have a good day.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
See ya.
Bye.